Hello everyone and welcome back to the next episode of Beeftorio. Looking over our beautiful central square. I love it, and especially with all the zipline stations, the amount of beavers that are just, zipping in and hanging out in this area is pretty cool. There are a few more things that we actually need to do, but in terms of well-being, we're basically there. So the Farmer's Monument could be a little bit better utilized, and our contemplation spots are a little bit low as well. So for now, let's go ahead and place a few more contemplation spots in there. And I think what the, don't want to call it issue, but the consideration that we had last time is where should we actually place them? So we do have a few in the back here, which definitely useful, but probably need to set up a few more. We're currently in a bad tide right now. Water supply is looking overall good. There's still water being pumped in here, but don't need to worry too much about that. You're pumping it from there in this section. So yeah, ultimately I think we're doing okay. However, like I said before, let's still keep focusing on expanding the contemplation spots. And I do feel like this area right there could actually be a nice spot, or the area down here. So why don't we actually plan for the area down there? And specifically, I didn't expect Badwater to reach all the way to here. Very interesting. Okay, that means I really want some not impermeable floors, but contamination barriers. I guess it does make sense. All the bad water is kind of flowing out this way. So let's make sure we're blocking this over here. We would have all the materials that we need, even though one thing that we're definitely working towards is the earth reed cultivator. So before we look into this, let's make sure our beavers are starting to plan a little bit ahead for this area here. We can build staircases easily down there and then turn this entire area actually into a contemplation spot destination. Yeah, I think let's go with that. All right. There's down here. Could be nice to have a few more stairs up there. You know what? Why don't we? Let's go ahead and make sure we have a staircase down this way. One more for the explosion right there. And then we can add another staircase right here. All right. Which again makes this area in this corner actually the perfect spot for the expansion of our contemplation spots. We're going to use terrain blocks because we have a ton of dirt. So let's make sure we use it and just build up this section as much as we can. Well, not as much as we can. I'm going to remove this just to make sure we have a little bit of water underneath. And then we'll build a bit more on top. Gonna leave always like a gap, turning this into a little bit of a it's not scaffolding, what's the word I'm looking for, kind of like a bridge. And then that's a little bit of oil here. All right, add in another layer in front, and that I think should overall do. All right, we're gonna go ahead, connect this up. And then we need to make sure we plan our pathway system appropriately. And I think ultimately this will do. And then making sure we have the path connections in regular intervals. All right, if we do that, and then add contemplation spots on all of these sides. We can even add one in the corner there. I think that will be quite useful. So where are our contemplation spots? One here, one there, one there. One more there. Yep, we're going all out with these. And I think that will be quite useful. We also want to... Why are you not connected? Oh, forgot to add the path on the top here. There we go. And now we can also detonate this and put in another staircase right there. All right. Next part that we then need to do, of course, is make this a little bit prettier. So we could place our shrubs here all around. Or alternatively, and I think that sounds a little bit better, we're going to remove the path here temporarily. And then we're going to set up a forester right there, which will then allow us to plant a few beautiful trees, maple, chestnuts, maybe chestnuts. I could see chestnuts being well received by our beavers. And obviously, anything nature will have a very calming effect, I think. Let's hope I am correct. I mean, not that the game is actually modeling that, but oh, no, not maples. Chestnuts. Can you actually reach this? You can. One last chestnut tree right there. Set you to be run by a bot until you are done with all of these. And there is one gap in this planting, but I think that will be okay. We will replace this one gap with a lantern. Or maybe not a lantern. Do we have fire pits? We do not have fire pit. All right, lantern it is. As soon as this guy is done. All right, so this is happening, which should then help us increase our well-being. I'm just assuming right now they're just not properly supplied. The Farmer's Monument is actually still increasing in terms of value. The books are kind of an issue too, which means I think we're storing them back here at the moment. Let's have a look. This is books. We're actually not producing enough, apparently. You know what? Let's have the bots produce books. All right. Also means we kind of need more bots. We're doing okay in terms of fuel. How are we doing in terms of the assembly roll? We're producing a little bit more material than our assemblers can handle. So could be worthwhile just adding another assembly station. Now, what would be the best way of placing this kind of back here? All right, I think it'll be easiest. If we turn this into a vertical power shaft, so let me remove you. Yep, that didn't change a thing. That's exactly what I was hoping for. We're gonna go up to this level, I'm hoping. And then we're gonna have a look into our overhangs. Yeah, easy. And we could just plan them along here. But we don't need the full width. So one of these assemblers is 3x3. So if we go ahead and add this section in here. Well, that makes sense. Maybe we actually need to place them over this way. Yep, I think that is a little bit better. Which means I could have replaced you with a vertical power shaft, but you know, it's gonna be fine. All right. And then all we need to do is add a staircase here, pathway in there, connect the front up, and then where are the power shafts? Here we go. Connect this in, and then under science, put in another bot factory, not bot factory, the assembler, which should help us produce a few more bots, and then yeah, get all of this going properly. All right. Making sure we're setting you to be run by bots 2 on the highest priority, because this will help us. So better get this started early. All of this is in now, which means I can remove the forester, connect this up, and then, like I said before, we're gonna put in a lantern over here. People are not completely in the dark. Also gonna go ahead and remove the soil underneath, because I think this will look a little bit nicer. All right. Book production still doing okay-ish. I think actually the challenge might be the paper. Maybe, oh, you're not producing books. I thought both of you guys were producing books. But of course, we are getting our punch cards to help optimize our bot workers. Let's make sure, not on the highest priority, but quickly bump you up. Network power supply has massively decreased because we're running mostly on wind power. Yeah, not great. Makes me think it might be nice to get a bit more water wheel powerage in there. Now these are producing more power than the ones up there. And there would be enough space for one more power wheel over there. Alternatively, we could, of course, levy this up and create a power wheel pathway down this way. Now, log supply is a little bit short still. We have kind of expanded the log supply in this area here as well. So that'll do pretty well, I hope. But yeah, slowly moving forward. I mean, we do have our batteries, which are currently fully charged. I guess the wind turned back on, so that's not too bad. Okay, you're producing bots as well. Good. And like I said, the contemplation spots are in as well. Very nice. And it's close to the zipline station, so they should have an easy time getting into this area. I could have placed more trees in the back here, but is it really necessary? I don't quite know. Yeah, ultimately I think that's kind of a good setup for us. Could have had the contemplation spots more on the central square, but I feel like they're for contemplating, so kind of need a little bit more relaxation in a sense going on. We're short on pine resin. Do we need more trees? Oh. Did I anticipate that? Nope. Where could we plant more trees? I guess this area right here. We're not utilizing... Sorry, in case you hear that. We're not utilizing that area here properly. So let's go ahead and mark a bunch of these to be demolished. And then we're planning out another section down here. 4 pine trees built. Because we will need more treated planks. We're at 1600, which is not bad, but also not the greatest. Alright, staircases both down here. Let's make sure we put a forester in there. Flip this around, and all we need to do, the forester can basically reach everything down to this corner right there, and then down to this corner. So for now, let's select the pine trees. Oh, there we go. And I think it was up to here. And then we'll just fill in all the trees that we can't possibly muster in this section. I should have counted. This is definitely not 8 by 7. But if we place it like this, we could put another tapper shag over in this corner. And we're actually going to plan for that already. There we go. Oh, actually, not down here. Hold on. Let's do it like that. If we're placing you here, all the way in the back there, we can set one more soil piece up here. And then add some trees, pine trees, on top of both of these. You are not going to be a pine tree. My bad. But we have 2 more here, and then we can just connect this up over in this section. All right. You will be busy for a while planting all of this. I can't even go all the way back here. So let's do that. All right. That is a ton of pine trees that are coming in, and that should help us solve our pine resin shortage. Well, at some point at least. Still short in terms of paper. Unable to get the required materials, so we're all just also short on logs. Excellent. Short on so many things. I guess it kind of makes sense that we're somewhat struggling. All right. I mean, these trees will grow up at some point again. Kind of thing. We're not using as many logs anymore in general. Now, if we are planning to expand the power supply, then we probably should, but for now, let's not plan for that. All right. Happiness has not gone up, but the contemplation spot coverage is almost to max, so that's pretty good. So let's have a look into our monuments. Earth Recultivator. We had talked about putting it up there. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We need 2,000 gears. We do have the gears. We need 2,000 treated planks. We're not quite there yet. And 1,500 metal blocks. You know what? That is close enough that I will place it down. And they can start, well, prepping everything. All right. Already on it. I appreciate that. Like, go ahead and connect the path up. And it would be nice to have a direct path in there. Look at all the bots. It's crazy. Right. I am going to set the priority a little bit lower here. So whenever they have the time to build this, they can throw some material in. And in the meantime, they can place more stuff. All right. Oh, bots shortage still? Yeah, you're doing okay overall. So do both of you. Also still doing okay in terms of biofuel, so not too bad. But yeah, still have a long way to go. Pine trees are coming in. I like that. And I think you are closed off. Yep, you are. So that's pretty good. But yeah, I think stuff is moving forward. Slowly, but steadily. All right. Would like to decorate around here a little bit more. Don't quite know if we have the material for that. Because it would be nice to have a little bit of like edges going on in the back there. Would you guys be able to get up here? Actually, yeah, you would be able to place that from down here. So we can already plan for these in here, add a shrub in all of the corners. Ooh. There's a bit of buffering time. I have put in the staircase here, which means I can now remove this side of things. Awesome. Oh, I guess 70. Whew. That was a long time coming, mate. And you know what? Let's just remove this entire soil area here. We can kind of shortcut back through there, which I think will be kind of nice to have. Then we'll see how things move along. Look at how busy they are. Actually, give me a second. This is the perfect time to take a screenshot. Good. This way I can utilize that later on. All right. Control H, by the way, in case you want to hide the HUD. Very useful, especially for, you know, making thumbnails. Look how busy they are. That's insane. And yeah, making or building all of this will take a while. So I think it's good that we got this started. Right. Adding a buff here anyways, mostly just because we can. That's also because we can add a little bit of dynamite back here, and then we're connecting this up down there, which I think will be quite nice. Now they've built the hedges. Ooh. Didn't mean to high prioritize this one. Slightly lower priority. Did I actually slightly higher prioritize? I think I did. Yeah, I did. That's why they built this one first instead of everything else. Oops. All right. Everything along here they can build from the bottom, which is awesome because that means shrubs can put them up all the way along here. Now with this side, we need to be a bit more careful. You guys can build... hold on. You need to be on the highest priority. And then I guess I prioritize you. Oh, the dynamite is in. Nice. We have a bit more space. Don't need the platform anymore. Not entirely sure what we're going to do with this space yet. But, you know, kind of good to have the added space. Would be kind of cool to make a connection here, but I don't quite know how to connect this down here. Future worries, I guess. And now we're setting you up like this. Actually, let's set you up like that instead. And again, still have a little bit more space here for doing something else. All right. Let's also high prioritize you. And then we add the next shrub in there. Hello. There we go. Connect you in here. All right, high priority to you. And did I set you up? Nah, I think that's fine. We do want to put then a few beaver statues in here, and I think these on the corners will be good. Oh, we only have one beaver statue, don't we? Yeah, we only do have one. Wow. Don't need to put a bulletin board up here. Alright, regardless. Let's also wrap these up back here. We're still sure you're on the... Yeah. Wonder where you guys are bringing the rest of the material. Alright, power supply is still doing okay. I guess overnight it can also recharge a little bit. Oh, we have one tree. Can you not reach that? You can reach that. But you're just a regular beaver, but a regular beaver. Let's quickly swap you out for a bot. One more tree up there, and once he is done, we will replace the Forester with the appropriate Tapper Shack. Wow. Brain freeze again. It's just that kind of a day. All right. Nice priority on that. Like I said, we do want the beaver statues in here. So we're placing you here. And we can actually already place you there. You guys are expensive in terms of logs and planks. But need to make sure that looks pretty enough. All right. So what else could we do? How's our plank situation actually looking? Planks are pretty bad. Yeah, we really need more space for logs. What's our dynamite situation? 245. Well, I know what we're gonna do next. We're gonna go ahead and make a quick path up to the top. Actually, just to here. And then we're going to set this up to be a double dynamite up here. And then a single dynamite down there. Yeah, we're gonna go, I think, actually all the way back here. All right. And then the rest over here needs to be single dynamite as well. Once the double dynamite is in, we can also remove this slope. And then we're gonna work our way slowly down to the ground level, which will then allow us to place a few more, hopefully, oak trees. We don't need that staircase up here anymore. There's like weird little pathways left, so let's remove you. Yeah, I guess we can leave you in for now. Yeah, let's utilize this back area as how far we will go the most. All right, dynamite up here is in. Let's demolish the slope. And I think you guys are too far. Of course you'd be too far. Why wouldn't you be? Put you on the highest priority. And I think by now you guys understand what I'm going for ultimately. Because once all of that is done and the dynamite has been exploded to the ground, this area should be expanding much further into the back. And that will be a good situation to have. All right, how much of our dynamite did we use up? Ooh, a ton. Wow, really a ton. Could have probably made this a little bit more appropriate. Well, appropriate is kind of the wrong term for that. All right, All of that is in. Let's detonate it up. Beautiful. Technically, I missed 2 here, but gonna annoy some of you. Annoys me a little bit, but we'll be okay. All right. Next thing we're gonna make sure is that we have a bit more pathing down here, and we want to connect it up all the way there. Then we remove the wooden staircase and the path on top. There we go. Make sure we have the connection in here. And then double dynamite. Let's for now just go a little bit further back. Also set this up as a single dynamite as we can. Double dynamite back here. And then a bit more down there. Didn't want me to. I guess that's fair. All right. And there, a little bit more. Oh, they're making good progress. But I'm pretty sure we'll be using up all of our dynamite in the process, and that is, well, not the greatest. Oh, but they have put in the dynamite back there. So let's explode you, put in a staircase back here, and while we're at it, add a little bit of shrubbage. All of this is built, and you're freaking built in the wrong space. Ah. That happens when you don't pay attention. All right. So we could put in scarecrows right next to it. And you know what? Why not? Scarecrow, and then we go a little bit further down in terms of height. But, you know, future stuff to do. All right, shrub is in though, meaning I can put the next beaver statue in, put you on the highest priority. We do have 2 unemployed bots. What would be a good use for you? I guess we could just swap one of you out. All right. So, oh, look at that. Not bad. They are coming from the other side, so I'm exploding this away. And one down here. Look at all the green space. I love it. Now we have more space to plant down oaks. And there is more to come, which I think will ultimately help us with our wood supply. Currently is still like struggling a little bit, keeping like around 0. And not great, but I guess it's okay. No, you are obviously done, so let's remove you and replace you with 2 tapper shacks. There we go, 1 here and 1 here. You can be regular beavers. I think that's fine. But yeah, I think we're on the way to getting all of this done. Half of it is in. About half of it. All right, and with that, I am going to call it an episode. So thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.